Have you ever seen a company lay off a third of the team and expect the rest to work harder? This happened back in the 2010s when I worked for a medium-sized PLC in the UK. I was part of a quoting team in the sales department. There were 6 of us plus a manager, and while the work was steady, we managed it because of teamwork. When we were overloaded, other teams stepped in. When they were swamped, we returned the favor. That balance kept the whole operation running. Then, out of nowhere, we were called into a meeting. Management announced that falling ticket numbers meant 2 of us were being made redundant. To look fair, they made us reapply for our own jobs and sit through a ridiculous test that had nothing to do with quoting. It didn't take long to realize the numbers were twisted. Over 3 years, ticket volumes had dipped by only 13 out of several thousand. That's not a decline. It's barely a fluctuation, but management spun it as a crisis. 2 colleagues were pushed out, one with a golden handshake, the other through a lawsuit they later won. The favoritism was blatant. The manager made sure his sidekick, the weakest worker on the team, was safe. He produced the least, made the most mistakes, but was protected. The rest of us were left to carry the load. The results were immediate. With only 4 real workers left, the balance collapsed. We couldn't spare time to help other teams, so they stopped helping us. Tickets piled up. We asked for overtime and were denied. We explained that the workload was unmanageable, and management accused us of inefficiency. Then came the insult. We were scolded for skipping steps in the quoting process. These steps were pointless hoops that slowed everything down. So we thought, fine, if that's what they wanted, that's what they'd get. We followed every rule to the letter, every unnecessary form, every useless signature, every slow approval. Our pace dropped to a crawl. The backlog doubled. Management panicked. HR, the sales director, and our manager dragged us into meetings demanding explanations. We stayed calm and polite. We're following the guidelines exactly as written. This is the pace your process allows. When they told us to start helping other teams again, we pointed out it wasn't in our contracts. They had no argument. Months went by like this. Then holiday season arrived. That's when we spotted something they had overlooked. The policy still allowed 3 people in our team to take time off at once, even though only 4 of us were left. So we booked it. 2 colleagues went abroad, and I went across the country to visit family. A week before, the manager realized and panicked. Another HR meeting, more shouting, but the rules were clear. 3 people could be off, and so we were. The chaos that followed was indescribable. Sales had no quotes. Customers were furious, and tickets piled up like never before. Management's grand solution? Train the offshore team in India. Their plan was for us to fly over and teach them. We refused. Training wasn't in our contracts, and I didn't even own a passport. So the manager and his sidekick had to go. They spent months overseas trying to train the offshore team. We sent them the simplest tickets, and they still messed them up. Fixing their mistakes took longer than doing the work ourselves. After 6 painful months, that entire plan was scrapped. By then, we were done. None of us trusted management anymore. Quietly, we all found better jobs. Within a week of each other, we handed in our 4-week notices, all set to leave on the same day. That's when one teammate pointed out a clause in our contracts. Any documentation we created belonged to us, not the company. So we made a plan. During our final week, we gathered every manual, every cheat sheet, every guide we'd written, not just for our team, but for other roles we'd worked in before. We consolidated it, copied it to our drives, and deleted the company copies. On our last day, after polite goodbyes, we told our manager exactly what we had done. He exploded, demanding it back. We calmly waved the drives and reminded him, according to the contract, this is ours. Then we walked out. Later, friends told us the sales director nearly had a breakdown. With no documentation, no staff, and no backup, quotes ground to a halt. The company had sabotaged itself. The best part? Every one of us landed in better jobs with better pay and better management. And to this day, we still laugh about how one company managed to drive away an entire team and cripple itself, all because of arrogance, favoritism, and short-sighted cost-cutting.